Hi, I'm Tim Sustak, Interim Chief Investment Officer with Mid-Atlantic Corporate, and this is the Economic Update for July 2014. Today, we will review recent economic statistical releases, the Fed's thoughts on the recent inflation numbers, and some things for us to think about as we move through the summer. Economic data continues to come in mixed. Unfortunately, first quarter GDP continues to be revised downward, with the reading now showing the economy contracted at a 2.9% pace in the first quarter of 2014. The real disappointment with the revision was that the consumer spending component was revised down to 1% from an initial reading of just over 3%. Again, the poor first quarter performance is largely being blamed on winter weather, but considering consumer spending constitutes 70% of the economy, and the current consumer spending numbers are on the sluggish side, economic growth is not what many economists were hoping for at this point in the year. Speaking of the sluggish consumer spending numbers, the personal income and consumer spending numbers were announced on June 26. Spending was up just 0.2% in May after being flat the prior month. This does not leave us in a good place for second quarter GDP growth, although there was some good news from the report in that personal incomes were up 0.4% in May, following the 0.3% positive reading the prior month. These wage gain numbers are important because rising wages are key to driving economic growth. The Fed's preferred index for inflation, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, also rose in May, coming in at 1.8% year over year. This is not quite the 2% year over year goal that the Fed desires, but we are getting closer. On the housing front, more mixed news. On the downside, housing starts fell 6.5% in May. Although overall we are maintaining a slight upward trend in starts over the past few years, we have yet to see the type of numbers that indicate strong growth. On the upside, existing home sales posted their second monthly gain in a row, increasing by 4.9% in May. A bonus here is that the growth came in the single-family housing sector, a component that has been lagging for reasons that we mentioned in the last month's update. By far, the biggest positive in housing over the past month was the new home sales, which surged 18.6% in May, coming in at a 504,000 unit annual rate. This could help the housing starts number of new home sales continue to be strong. When I come back, the Fed's take and how this impacts the credit union industry.
Introducing Mobile Pay from MyCU Services. Mobile Pay is a mobile banking application that gives your members access to their financial accounts and details, all from the convenience of their mobile device. Not only can your members access their accounts at your credit union, they can actually add other financial institution accounts too. Make your credit union's app the hub of all of your members' financial details. Contact the sales team today to start offering Mobile Pay.
Although there were no surprises in the Fed's announcement following their June meeting, some were surprised Chairman Yellen shrugged off the recent inflation numbers in her comments following the announcement. With the CPI above 2% and the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index up to 1.8%, some felt that the Fed would pay some attention to those numbers. However, in her comments following the meeting announcement, Chairman Yellen brushed those concerns aside, indicating that there was a lot of what she called noise in the inflation data, and that it was unclear whether inflation has really picked up at all. At this point, the market seemed to believe that the Fed has everything under control, and that until we see more pressure on prices from things like persistently higher wage gains, inflation is likely to remain in check. Though the Fed has not given any credence to the recent uptick in inflation, and while the consensus timing for the first federal funds target increase is still around mid to second half of 2015, although there are a few economists that think we could see an increase sooner. This is being echoed by Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis President Bullard, who believes that the economy is ahead of schedule and that an increase could come earlier than anticipated at the end of the first quarter of 2015. We should note here that Chairman Yellen has also downplayed the significance of the individual Fed president's rate forecast, so it's still anyone's guess. For us in the credit union community, it remains more of the same for now, trying to squeeze all the yield we can out of our balance sheets while being careful not to extend too far out and in too great a concentration that we cause ourselves trouble when rates do rise. While that first increase still appears to be some time away, if you haven't already, it might make some sense to at least start discussing how your balance sheet is positioned and what strategies you might employ when rates do start to rise. This gives you plenty of time to plan and adjust over time if necessary, even if the first increase comes as early as the first quarter of 2015, as some are predicting. For next month, key economic releases will continue to center on inflation, the consumer, and housing. We will also hear again from the Federal Open Market Committee on July 30th at the conclusion of their July meeting. That's the economic update for July 2014. I hope you have a great month, and thanks for watching.